But there's just so many things that are going to be changing here over the next, like 2026, I am so bullish on. Like, I cannot explain to you how bullish I am. I'm still bullish on 2025. I know people are gonna be like, oh, you said it's next year. I thought you're pivoting, you're waiting. No, I am super bullish on the last 3 weeks of this year. We have 25 days till the end of 2025, and I've got bets on the line, and I'm not backing down. I'm not sweating. I am not concerned about it. So, there's always haters out there, and that's fine. But I'm here. I'm still buying every day. I put my money where my mouth is. This person says, what's the bet? I got a bet that XRP will be $750, a public bet, by the end of the year. I don't know that it's going to get to 750. There has to be some real events that play out between now and the end of the year for that to actually transpire. We've talked about the reverse carry trade. We've talked about the back-end tokenization of the stock market. We've talked about the ETFs coming live for XRP. We've talked about stablecoin regulation. The way that this happens, I put out a video 18 months ago explaining exactly how XRP would get to 4 digits through supply and demand dynamics. And all of that is culminated. Like, I have been spot on about ETFs, stablecoin bill, and many of the other things that I talked about in the original video have already come to pass. I'm highly confident that we're going to see oil skyrocket here at the end of 2025. We have multiple global macroeconomic situations that could transpire and cause that to happen. And if Strait of Hormuz gets shut down, which is what I think is most likely, because that's what Jim Rickards talked about in his confidential meetings with the U.S. government in 2014, more than a decade ago. That's how they would orchestrate this crisis, and they would basically have a scapegoat for the central banks to be able to roll through the reverse carry trade and have all this unwind and be able to use XRP. You never let a good crisis go to waste. And I do think that is going to be, we did just have an earthquake over there in Japan, praying for everybody there that might be dealing with a tsunami or other devastation. Never fun to see people getting hurt or there being collateral damage with stuff. I don't know if that's going to cause anything imminent with the reverse carry trade. I don't think so. I think that it is going to be correlated to, something that transpires in Venezuela or with Russia or with, Iran and Israel. Another interesting thing that happened today.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news related channel. And believe me, today is going to be an interesting episode because the Solana community has capitulated. And I almost stuttered over my words, but I got it out for you guys. We are going to have a very exciting episode breaking down what made the Solana account have their most viral tweet of all time. And I'll give you a hint here. It had nothing to do with Solana. We're also going to break down how the Cftc is working on launching crypto derivatives, with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP being the only 3 digital assets right now being used as collateral. This sets XRP up perfectly pre-Clarity Act to take advantage of what Jake Claver is outlining. Now, again, the big difference here, I don't think we're seeing $750. I don't think we're seeing $100. What I do believe is that over the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to see radical changes in the crypto space. And it starts with many of the things that Jake had just outlined in this early introduction. We do already have 1,700 live listeners, almost 1,000 watching on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, help us out. And I want to give a special shout out because 9 p.m. tonight, Austin King will be joining the show. And you guys remember Austin sold his first company to Ripple for $200 million. He's going to be joining our show to kind of talk about the developments that he sees happening behind the scenes and what the future of XRP looks like from a developer standpoint. But with that being said, let's jump into some of the price action that we're all excited about this morning. Bitcoin is trending up and to the right direction, up about 3.5% on the day, trading at $93,600. We got Ethereum trading just below 3,300, up about 6% on the day. XRP is up about 3%, trading at $2.14. And I've been showing you guys this data time and time again, so I'll just touch it very briefly at the beginning of the episode. This is the $2 iron wall. And I've used the correlation before. A $2 XRP is like a 40-cent XRP back in 2023. This is the range that anytime we drop below $2, Major money comes in, swoops up this asset, and pushes it back above that $2 limit. It's exactly what we're seeing today. Now, somebody commented something phenomenal in chat. They said, what's causing this pump? I've been in this market long enough to watch it a billion times, guys. The pump before the dump. The FOMC meeting happens tomorrow like clockwork. And I believe the FOMC is going to reduce rates. The market will have a short, maybe 24-hour correction. But the reality is all of these things are working in favor of long-term investors. And XRP stands alone today as the only digital asset with clarity inside the United States, guys. So a lot of exciting content, a lot of great information we're going to be breaking down. I've also got some information in regards to the Paul Barron show. So Paul Barron had a phenomenal interview with our friend, Brad Keim, Digital Perspectives, as we like to call him. And they were elaborating on the competitiveness of Swift, right? And somebody said, this is the GEC pump, guys. Listen, if I can pump the price charts, I do it for you every morning, but I'm not responsible for the price action. Now, that's great because on the bearish days, it's not my fault. But on the bullish days, I defer to the market. That's where credit is due. And I do want to give a special shout out, 9 p.m. Eastern, guys. Just want to remind you all, Austin King will be joining this show 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. We're going to be live once again reporting on some of this news. Now, this was the news that I didn't give enough attention to yesterday. Ripple's $500 million share sale, valuing the company at $40 billion, had nothing to do with the XRP escrow. And why is this so relevant? Because companies like Citadel, companies like Pantera Capital, they are stepping in and buying equity in the company Ripple because they believe Ripple is going to be expanding their business model into TradFi. And Brad Garlinghouse, I was able to find some quotes behind the scenes. I got a long form video I'm going to release on this. It's really interesting. Brad Garlinghouse said they didn't even want to sell equity because they don't need cash, but the demand was so strong that they took the $500 million at a $40 billion valuation. That's phenomenal. It goes to show just how much has changed in the last 12 months. And I'm looking forward to kind of elaborating on that. But I wanted to make sure I got that in at the beginning of the episode because once again, we're seeing a lot of momentum in the crypto space, and it's XRP that really does stand alone here. Now, let's start off with some of the breaking news, right? Solana tweeted out, it is time to flip the switch on XRP. And here's the interesting part. And now they didn't say XRP. They tweeted out this ominous image. Now, what are they really getting at here? I used a little AI. I did a little bit of research, and I think I figured out the answer as to what's happening in the crypto space, specifically between the correlation of Solana and XRP. Now, this post is referencing something really interesting. In December of 2025, there was an integration where XRP and RLUSD were moving from the XRP EVM sidechain to enable bridge transactions via Solana using Axler. Now, this is going to enable seamless cross-border routing for final audits, and this was announced just last week. Now, it didn't get enough attention because it hasn't been implemented yet, but this development fulfills the author's November 2024 prediction, potentially unlocking XRP ledger assets on the Solana blockchain. So they tweeted out 589 about 48 hours ago. That got over 2 million views. And they followed it up this morning with this image right here. Now, if you guys have been in the XRP community for a long time, you'll know this isn't the original image. They edited that image. So the Bearable guy put this out several years ago, maybe 2017. This was the original image where you've got Bitcoin in the green, XRP at the top of the castle, and USD at the bottom. If you really look at the correlation here, well, they've replaced XRP with Solana, and they moved USDC off the board. So I find that to be pretty interesting. And again, what do I think is really happening here? We are seeing a bridging of the Solana blockchain and the XRP ledger through the Axler product. Now, why is this so important? The Solana bridge on Axler, it's going to open up XRP and RLUSD to Solana's DeFi ecosystem. So now the XRP token will be enabled to be used on the Solana DeFi products. That also goes for the RLUSD stablecoin. This is going to attract more liquidity, more investors, and add a little bit of utility to the XRP token. It's also going to be connecting over 60 chains through Axler, increasing XRP's utility and exposure in this DeFi ecosystem, potentially driving demand and price appreciation for investors. So again, what is really happening here? An integration of the XRP token into the Solana ecosystem. Now, of course, this is just my research. This is my speculation. I wrote down some notes before stream to make sure I hit all the points, but I think that's what they're getting at here. I think, once again, Solana is pivoting to adopt XRP into their DeFi ecosystem, and the integration of Solana's DeFi infrastructure could enhance XRP's use cases in the Solana DeFi ecosystem. Because again, they're not even available as we're doing this episode. Now, Erica, big shout out to her, a longtime listener. She said, who's buying more Axler? I actually don't own the AXL token. People know, if you guys have watched the show for a long time, the 5 pillars of my personal portfolio, it's Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin, it's XRP, it is AVAX, Chainlink, HBAR. Then I've got Ondo, I've got Quant Network, I've got some Solana, I've got some other things. But the 5 pillars that I've structured my portfolio around over these last 4 or 5 years, it has been XRP number 1, Bitcoin, HBAR, Chainlink, and AVAX. And hopefully we're going to start to see a lot of success here. Now, the reason I didn't allocate too heavily into Solana is because I never believed in the Solana narrative at the time. But as this market has kind of evolved, we've really seen a broadening of the ecosystem for Solana, where they're really going to begin integrating tokenized assets as well. And that's something that nobody's covered yet. I have a clip that we're going to play later on in this episode. But chat, I want to come to you. 1's in chat if you think my theory is correct. 2's in chat if you think something else is going on here. I find this to just be too perfect not to be the correlation that we were talking about. And there's another narrative. So let me just throw it out there. There's always the chance that they're trolling or they're engagement farming. They know that XRP has the largest community for retail investors. It's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is institutional at this point. The irony here that XRP is the retail token and Bitcoin is now the institutional token. That's who cares about these assets. It's really funny. The XRP community has the largest retail investors, meaning the most people like me and you, me, Johnny, the live chat, regular everyday Americans, Canadians, Europeans, Asians, South Americans. These are the people who have found the XRP ledger and said, I believe in the future of finance and I'm staking my bet right here. It is the institutional investors that have, quote unquote, ignored this asset and just pushed it to the sideline, said, we're unwilling to address this. Now, someone else said, it's just noise. But again, the reason I don't think it's just noise is because the interoperability portion of this, I love what this guy had to say, Tiger BK. He said, interoperability is massive. Axler will be huge. So again, the reason I think this is important, the XRP token will be available in the Solana DeFi ecosystem if my prediction is correct here. They're also going to have, somebody said, Charles, this is a great comment. Abs, the Litecoin X intern just went over to Solana. Listen, if they're engagement farming, they're playing the game correctly, my friend. But again, 1's in chat if you think I'm right. 2's in chat if you think something else is going on here. There's also another narrative where Brad Garlinghouse had commented on this. And here's the clip right here, guys, where Brad Garlinghouse had said, maybe this is just an advancement of the regulatory framework, and Solana and XRP are finally working together to get clarity inside the US. This is one theory as well. Let's let the clip play.
We have been championing, and I know Team Solana has been championing regulatory clarity for crypto broadly and what is generally called the Clarity Act in the United States. There's still, forward momentum on that. I don't think it's going to happen this year, which, the President Trump has kind of championed. But, I think sometime in the first half of next year, we'll see passage of legislation, which will continue to unlock and create more tailwinds for the whole industry. We have been championing, and I know Team Solana has been championing regulatory clarity for crypto broadly.
So there you have it, guys. That's pure evidence that at least we know behind the scenes, Ripple and Solana are working together to get regulatory clarity approved here inside the United States. And I do want to give a big shout out, guys. I just realized we're 13 minutes into the episode. We got 3,500 live listeners here. If you're enjoying this content, you want to help us out, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And today you are going to be getting 3 updates. So we're doing the 11 a.m. live. I got the 5:30 p.m. video, and Austin King will be joining this show for a live interview, 9 p.m. Eastern time today. I also wanted to give you guys an update. So I reached out to all the XRP ETF issuers. We've got Sal Gilberti coming on the show. We've got Matt Hogan from Bitwise coming on the show. This morning, I reached out, actually weeks ago, I had reached out to Canary Capital CEO. This morning, he responded to a DM. I'm going to be working to establish another interview with Canary Capital CEO on the Good Evening Crypto channel. So if you guys are excited about that, smash that like. Be sure to subscribe so you can tune in and get all these exciting updates. Who else do you want me to interview? Because I'm totally open-minded. I'll interview anybody here on this channel. Let me know in the comment section right now. Request some names. Let me know some of your thoughts. I do want to play this very brief chart analysis here for the XRP community. Because again, when we're talking about short-term time frames, there's 2 narratives, right? There's the scenario that Jake's outlining where all these catalysts play out. XRP is used as a liquidity solution. There's also just the TA narrative. And that's what I'm going to share as well, because I know people appreciate that. Let's let this 40-second clip play and then we'll break it down.
So ultimately, these are the resistance levels to break. $1.90 is the multi-month support block to hold and the multi-month resistance block awaits above if we can break these levels of resistance. Now, failing that, if XRP doesn't break out of resistance here, as I said, what I'm expecting, we've had this push down, a run into these EMAs. I think we either see rejection at sort of $2.30 or $2.50, and then we come back for a couple of weeks at least before looking to get the push towards sort of $2.70. And like I said, over the past sort of couple of weeks, there's been a lot of choppy price action. It wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to shake out some more weak hands leading into late December.
And you know what's interesting, guys, and I showed you this on the XRP Investor app yesterday, and we got positive feedback about this. A lot of people signed up for the totally free product. This is the xrpinvestor.com. I typically have the link below the video. I forgot to put it in today's video, but whatever. When we look at the fear and greed index, it is sitting at a neutral, and this is separating itself from the rest of the crypto market. XRP is at a neutral sentiment indicator. Look at the fear in the crypto market today. We are sitting at a 24. And for people who don't have any kind of privy as to how important this is, all the way back during the COVID collapse, somebody said, interview Johnny Krypto. Listen, Johnny Krypto gets interviewed on a daily basis, both on camera and off camera. So I've interviewed Johnny Krypto enough for the entire crypto space, but that's just a joke, guys. So what we're talking about here is the XRP fear and greed index and how this has separated itself from the entire digital asset space. I am just going to play one brief video for you all as I handle something behind the scenes. So just give me one moment here, guys. We're going to listen to Fox Business talk about digital assets, and I'll be right back.
For Christmas is crypto. A new survey.
Sorry, guys, had to close my office door.
Gen Z wants digital.
I appreciate your patience, and thank you, guys. I apologize about that. Now, again, what I was really getting at here with the whole entire XRP analysis is that when you look at the fear and greed indicator for the XRP community, we are in neutral sentiment. That means that XRP investors are not nearly as fearful as the crypto market. But when you observe what's happening on Twitter and you look at social media and you look at the comment section, it is the people who entered this space 12 months ago, 14 months ago, maybe even less time, maybe 8 to 10 months ago, that are the most frustrated. So that's what I want our listeners to understand. It's not long-term investors. It's not institutional investors. It is short-term retail investors who entered this space about a year ago that are the most fearful about where this digital asset class is going. So someone said office. No, I'm sitting in my home. This is the office in my house, guys, not office like a studio. The reality is I'll always do this show from my laptop at home. I have no desire to go to a studio every day. That doesn't even sound appealing to me, guys. But I do want to give a big shout out once again. We do have over 5,000 live listeners here joining us. Let me know some of your thoughts in chat because I feel optimistic. I feel like there's a ton of exciting stuff happening in the crypto space. And it's just the short-term investors, the retail investors, the people who are like, I was promised 589 yesterday, that are the most frustrated. When you focus on the catalyst and what's really been occurring here inside the United States, it is so obvious to me that people should be optimistic. When we look at where the crypto space is going to be headed over these next 12 months, we're going to get the Clarity Act. We'll have the ETFs absorb a large amount of that circulating supply. If you guys watched the Jake Claver interview last night, I'm not going to play too many clips. I just wanted to show that initial one on this show. What he said was, shout out to the Groypers, somebody said in chat. But what Jake had said on his show was that when you look at the OTC desks, he does a lot of OTC transactions. He works with Kraken. He works with Coinbase. He stated the companies, Uphold, and several others. And what he said was typically these OTC transactions only take about an hour, maybe 2 hours at max. He did a transaction last week. It took over 8 hours to settle. So what does that mean? It means there's a lot of demand out there. It means there's a lot of people vying for this new supply of XRP. And I'm going to begin breaking down the CFTC update right now because I showed you guys last week as well. XRP just got approved to be used as collateral on Bitnomial. And what's so exciting about this is XRP and RLUSD are the only other tokens in the digital asset space that can be used as collateral inside the US for futures trading, liquidity, and all these different new use cases. Now, yesterday, the CFTC made another major announcement, and this is from the director here, Caroline Pham. I'm launching a digital assets pilot program for Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC that will protect Americans under US rules when you use CFTC brokers to keep your crypto safe. Our new guidance will enable tokenized markets, and we're cutting the red tape that is outdated. Onwards, said Caroline Pham. Now, the XRP community responded, I'm sure you'll see it in the comments right here, number one comment. Why not XRP, Caroline? Well, Caroline kind of responded to this with a statement out of Ripple. At Ripple, and this is in quotes, the CFTC's actions mark a pivotal moment for integration of digital assets into a regulated derivatives market. This step will unlock greater capital efficiency and solidify the United States leadership in financial innovation. What do you think they're really getting at here, guys? Institutional adoption of the asset. The CFTC is focused on expanding the derivatives market into the digital asset space, and the only token in the US right now that has clarity is XRP. Now, that changes after the Clarity Act is issued, and I've done a lot of episodes on that, but for the time being, which could be until January, February, maybe even all the way until April, XRP may be the only digital asset that has clarity here inside the US. Here's another thing, that when you think about these assets being used as collateral, right, and being leveraged as a solution to a liquidity crisis, Bitcoin doesn't have the technology to scale. Ethereum is too slow. It's outdated. And then you think about the XRP ledger, it's the only other asset. It is perfectly established to handle a liquidity crisis. And Johnny Krypto is in chat right now, guys. Shout out to Johnny Krypto, the Italian stallion in chat. I do want to give a big shout out for the $2 dono from a member here. Silver Fox Rabbit said, what do you think about the Stronghold coin? I am not too familiar with the Stronghold coin. Fill me in on the details. I wish I had more to share, but I haven't done enough research and I don't own the token. So apologize for the $2. I'll get you back in another time. Caroline Famtag Ripple in a tweet said, 7 Dennis. Big thank you for the $2 donation as well, and a member. This is the tweet that I'm sure you're talking about. So again, Ripple outlining very clearly that we are looking at something with the derivatives market, and that's what I'm excited about. And we got a 589 dono, guys. That's the energy that we need this morning. Hopefully he's not a Solana investor. This is our friend Matt from Psycosmos. Great show, Abs. Here's my opinion. 2026 is the year of the horse. It's bad for Bitcoin. The summer of 2026, you're going to see a huge shift in the New York Stock Exchange. Not financial advice. Love you, Johnny K. Stay golden, my friend. Now, I actually just watched one of your videos on Instagram last night. Keep up the great work, Psycosmos. You're a great friend as well. But guys, I'd love to hear, do you believe 2026 is going to be more optimistic than 2025 for the XRP price chart? 1's for yes, 2's for no. And that's a pretty simple question because XRP entered this year at about $2 in value. We're going to close this year at about $2.20 in value if we're closing out where we are today. So I think that 2026 is shaping up to be very bullish because we're going to start to see this real world utility take effect here. Stronghold, you would be educated in Verson. He can't explain the relationship. Great. Thank you, Atlantic Living. I'm going to check out Verson's content. And someone said Jake is on the juice. That's hilarious. Jake is on the juice. Abs is clean. Listen, Jake, I've met Jake in person. Guys, double my size, triple my size. It's okay to be confident, but at the same time, you got to have a realistic perception of yourself. I ain't on Jake's level when it comes to the gym, my friends. Now, people ask me what my max bench is. On my best days, I'm getting that 300, 315. On my worst days, I'm 285. So that's just to give you a frame of reference. And of course, I'm just having fun during today's episode. We are at 5,200 live listeners. I'm just going to give you one more reminder, guys. 9 p.m. Eastern time today. We are going to have Austin King on the show for an interview. He sold his first company to Ripple for $200 million, I believe, back in 2019. He's worked directly with David Schwartz. He's built real-world utility in the blockchain space. He launched the Omni token, and we've known him for years. So I'm really excited about that. Looking forward to a great interview. Now, I'm going to shift gears just a moment here, and I'm going to play you a really interesting clip from Raoul Pal. Now, what I find so interesting about this clip is he's talking about the possibility of a Bitcoin reserve being launched inside the United States. And a lot of people have called this a bullish catalyst. Raul gives a little bit of a different take here. I'm going to share my thoughts. Here it is.
Trump proposed a national Bitcoin stockpile, sort of like a reserve fund for Bitcoin. What is your take on this and how would it impact the crypto market? This is Lucille from Kentucky.
So I actually think it's a bit of a red herring because the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. The US doesn't need to hold other assets in reserve. Yes, it's got gold, but that was a legacy from leaving the gold standard. Other countries have to have reserves to support their own currencies, so they don't need it. Now, would they do it? I think it sounds flashy. For what reason, I don't really know. But let's assume that they do. Let's say I'm wrong and they do build something. It's kind of a weird world because, yes, obviously it's good for the crypto market because there's yet another buyer. But it's also weird because Bitcoin was set up to try and replace the government's control over money. And now you're inserting the government as one of the largest buyers of private money. I don't really like that actually, but but it's probably net positive for the crypto price. Now, maybe it pushes private use of money away from Bitcoin if that were the case. Because if the government can manipulate it, they could dump it onto the market, they can buy more, and before you know it, they're using it like they are interest rates and controlling regular money, and we don't want that.
Exactly, guys. And here's the thing. Somebody says, listen, the allegations out there, am I 5'3"? I guess you'll have to find me at XRP Las Vegas and find out, my friends. But here's the reality. I'm going to shift gears to a more serious note, jokes aside. When you talk about the Bitcoin reserve here inside the United States, we can debate if it's good. We can debate if it's bad. But my belief is it's happening. And that's why I want to play this type of content on our channel. When you think about where this market is headed over the next few years, Donald Trump was very outspoken about the support of digital assets. He even went as far to say, maybe we write a little crypto check and we pay $35 trillion in national debt. The reality is that when you think about where the crypto market is moving over this next 3.5 years, Bitcoin is that Trojan horse. Bitcoin gets us through the gates. The real utility is in these other blockchains. It's in XRP. It's in HBAR. It's in Ondo. It's in Axler. And you know what, guys? The reality is I'm not a Solana bull, but there are so many people out there, so many venture capitalists like Mark Yusko and Anthony Scaramucci that support this ecosystem, got access to tokens super cheap, and are probably going to be here for years, that I think Solana is going to be here to stay. I really do. So let me know in chat, guys. I think Solana is honestly, and again, I don't even really own the token, but I got to be unbiased about my approach. I really think Solana has built out this DeFi ecosystem, has built out the institutional interest. And we have our own echo chambers, right? I'm an avid XRP community member. I research this stuff every day. It's the one that gets me most excited about the crypto space. But someone said, Abs, do your next show in a tank top. Listen, this is a crypto show, my friend. No requests on what clothes I'm wearing. How about that? I'm just kidding, of course. Johnny Crypto wears the tank tops on this channel. When you think about where Solana is really headed, well, they've got a massive community. And that's the best thing that the XRP community has done over this last 5 years during the war on crypto. We've become so solid in our belief system, so solid in our support and understanding of the XRP ledger that we're not going to be fudded out. People are here for years. I'm going to be here for the next 5 or 10 years, God willing, of course, right? As long as I'm alive, heart's pumping, I'm going to be here talking about XRP and probably talking about other digital assets as well. But Solana has developed that same type of community. And I've seen it on social media. There was a really interesting poll that was run by Coin Bureau where Coin Bureau said, what digital asset would you like to buy? And it was like Dogecoin, I don't know, I think Cardano, XRP, and Solana. This thing got 20,000 votes. That's a lot of votes. I'm not 6'5", guys. If you've seen me in a picture next to Zach Rector, you'd know I'm not 6'5". But here's the reality. This thing got 20,000 votes, and 60% were Solana, 35% were XRP. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean that there's more retail interest in Solana. It means that there's these huge Solana ecosystems that really believe in the product. And for most of these assets, that's going to be the defining factor about which ones succeed and which ones fail by the end of the Trump administration. Now, the question I asked you guys again, it was this. Do you believe XRP will be a $100 asset by the year 2028, and specifically December 31st, 2028? Because that's something I've said on this channel. By the end of the Trump administration, I think we're going to be looking at a triple-digit XRP. I think it's going to be a totally different environment. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but I'm a human being who's allowed to have my opinion, right? This is America, land of the free, home of the brave. And my belief is when I look at where this market is and I look at how XRP has positioned itself, this is the asset that's going to succeed. And this is the asset that will have the largest price appreciation here, specifically inside the United States. But I'd like to hear some of your thoughts as well. Now, we did get a brand new update yesterday out of Brad Garlinghouse. Once again, I'm going to shift gears to the XRP ETF. This is what Brad had to say. And look at the timing of this tweet. Posted at 11:11 a.m. on December 8th. Pretty cool. I do want to give a big shout out this Friday. Walmart Abs. For everybody who knows Walmart Abs in chat, it is his birthday this Friday. So I got to dedicate Friday's episode to Walmart Abs. If you don't know, I'm sure he'll pop up in the comments. My birthday is also next Monday. So I'm excited about that. I'll be turning 28, no gray hairs yet. But again, I'm 28. By the time I'm 38, I think we're looking at a 4-digit XRP. Let's put a little positive spin on that thing. And here's what Brad Garlinghouse had to say about the XRP ETF. He stated, and I'll read directly here, less than 4 weeks, and XRP is now the fastest crypto spot ETF to reach 1 billion in assets under management since Ethereum inside the United States. With over 40 crypto ETFs launched this year in the US alone, a few points to me are obvious. Number one, according to Brad, There's pent-up demand for regulated crypto products. And this goes back to the CFTC article we just showed you guys. And with Vanguard opening up access in traditional retirement accounts and trading accounts for Americans, crypto is now accessible to millions more people who don't need to be experts in the technology. That means they don't need an exchange. They don't need to figure out which is best and which is worst. They just call their broker. They can get access to digital assets now. Number two, according to Brad, longevity, stability, and community, like I just said for Solana, this applies to all blockchain products, are all underrated themes that matter in this new set of off-chain crypto holders. Now, another big update for you guys, Bitwise. Remember, their CIO, Matt Hogan, is coming on this show December 19th, 10 days from today. They just launched a crypto index ETF that has Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Of course, it has XRP. I think it has the top 10 digital assets. And these are the products that I think Vanguard is going to jump all over. They're going to adopt these assets in a way we've never seen before because they're going to offer a diversified approach to digital assets, guys. Somebody said, there is so many comments about my height in chat, guys. All right, guys, ready? Here's this. Ones if you think I'm above 6 feet. Twos if you think I'm below 6 feet. Hopefully there's a lot of ones in chat, my friends. That's all I can say on the matter. But we got 7,000 live listeners here. If you're enjoying this content, you had fun during today's episode, show us some love, smash that like button. And remember, 9 p.m. tonight, I'm going to be live once again for the Austin King interview. So he's a developer, sold his company for $200 million for Ripple. He worked directly under David Schwartz for several years developing the XRPL products. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy what he has to say. Now, this guy said, Saturn return year is 28, truly coming of age. A very fine young man you are, Abs. Thank you very much, sir. Very much appreciated. And shout out to all you guys. I do appreciate the fact that you enjoy this channel. You love this content. You enjoy the same things I enjoy. And it makes me really excited. I get a lot of fulfillment out of showing up and talking to you guys, having fun on the program. And this is an update I think our listeners are going to appreciate as well. So remember this. Ripple has filed for a, you guys are killing me with the height comments in chat. It's too funny. I love it. This is a massive update because Ripple has filed for a national banking charter inside the United States. And we're going to see this approved in 2026. Now, will it be Q1? Will it be Q2? We're all free to speculate. But here's what the OCC comptroller of currency had to say. Jonathan Gould says that crypto companies should be treated no differently than banks when seeking federal charters. What did they just say? Someone said Abs is 5.89 feet tall. I like that one, but no, I'm not. And here's the truth, and I'm done with the height comments because I feel bad for people who are here for crypto. The OCC has an obligation to approve these companies if they pass the guidelines. And what the OCC comptroller of currency just indicated right here is that Ripple will be approved as a national bank. Circle may be approved as a national bank. We may even have Coinbase approved as a national bank. And this is where you got to give a big shout out to Coach JV as well, because he's been talking about this transition forever. The shift that we're seeing inside the United States is only beginning, and that's really going to accelerate post-Clarity Act in 2026, guys. We're 33 minutes into the show. I'm having a lot of fun. There's a lot of great comments out there, and this is just an exciting time to be in the crypto space. Newer investors don't appreciate how mocked and ridiculed and how big of outcasts crypto investors were just 10 months ago, 12 months ago. Now it feels like we've gone mainstream. It really feels like we're sitting in a space where digital asset investors are taken seriously and they're thinking about the future. They're not overly focused on what's happening in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks here. This is the big news that I just showed you guys about Bitwise. XRP is leading the charge on Wall Street. Bitwise 10 crypto index ETF is now live on the New York Stock Exchange ARCA with exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Cardano, Chainlink, Litecoin, Sui, AVAX, and Polkadot. Institutions are officially locked in, my friends. Shout out to you guys. Someone said Abs and Jake are going to be on the Ripple lifting competition team. Now, listen, we got to be in different weight classes. Like I said, I ain't on that level, my friends. That ain't my game. Now, if we were running sprints, I'd be more than willing. If we're doing 40-yard dash, I'm out there, guys. I'm out there. I'm running the lasers. Maybe you'd be impressed. If I'm in a lifting competition with somebody twice my size, I don't think it's going to work out too well. We got to be realistic here on GEC. And I'm going to begin wrapping it up for today. I just wanted to address the user poll. The question that we asked you guys is, do you believe by December 31st, 2020, will XRP reach $100 in value? 69% say yes. 31% say no. That is out of 1,415 votes. Now, boats. I meant votes. Maybe boats in the future once we're at 589. Now, obviously, this is my prediction. So I'm voting yes. I think it's not only possible, it's a reality here inside the United States. And it will be so awesome, guys, if we can go through this growth together. Somebody was like, Abs, you're always optimistic. Would you ever be bearish? Of course I'd be bearish. If we were in a bear market, I looked around, I said, listen, our listeners should step out of this thing to protect themselves. I would definitely be bearish. That's not what I see in the crypto space. I see so much optimism, so much adoption, so much institutional interest, and most importantly, the United States quickly becoming the crypto capital of the world, like we were promised by our president nearly 12 months ago, my friends. So if you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know some of your thoughts in chat. We did pass, and I'm going to give you the live like counter, over 600, and it's loading, so I can't tell you, 645 likes on today's program. Abs was captain of the debate team. Now listen, I wasn't on the debate team. I was a chess player. I was on the chess team, and I did go to chess camp for 8 consecutive years in the row. So if you think I'm a weapon on YouTube, you should see me on the chessboard, my friends. But with that being said, we love you guys. We appreciate you all. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button on the way out of here. Stay optimistic. Go out, touch some grass, hug some family, and enjoy the fact that we are here before mass adoption and ready to experience this growth in our own crypto portfolios. We'll see you all in the next one.
You're going to be so proud of your president, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. See, the bottom line is...
Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You fake news.
So if you're looking to implement the same strategies that we do here on Good Evening Crypto, I would encourage all of our listeners to click on the Merlin link below and sign up for ITrust Capital as well. Now, why are our listeners going to do this? By leveraging the Merlin application, you can create a profit plan for yourself so you know exactly where you're going to be exiting this market. But leveraging ITrust through a Roth IRA product, you can take advantage of tax-free crypto gains during this crypto bull market. So I would encourage everybody, click on the link down below, sign up for ITrust today, and take advantage of our $100 free sign-up bonus.
But the challenge, as you know well, is the U.S. has had this very hostile. The Biden administration has been waging a war on crypto, and I think an unlawful war. Courts have agreed with us on that. And we're finally seeing that kind of unlocked in a Trump embraced crypto and crypto embraced Trump. And I think we're seeing that reflect in kind of how the markets have reacted since the election.